What is it? Hey, ich würde das nicht Hey Leo, was geht's? Leo, gar nicht.
Alle gewisses Joghurt essen.
I'm from I think while like all the rich and mighty people we have to raise our voice and say that climate action has to be taken now. We cannot wait longer. And I think we cannot just let them I feel like there's a lot of green so I don't think that a lot of I think we need like a discussion which includes all people who are actually like living in the places which are most
Hey, Sophia!
I hope that they are conscious what great responsibility they have and that they use it and they use it correctly.
Ja.
Well, sure. Thank you. You too.
Digga, warum muss ich da bleiben?
There's some of the international
We want to go to the other side so we're not like doing the same people. You will let me take it off?
You need to press down the button.
Okay. So just make a circle, guys. Just
No, we go to us.
Yeah, no. But...
What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! That's what joining with us over here. What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now!
If we just, everybody gets back a little and everybody gets a chance.
Yeah.
So, we know what everybody wants, so we just... Yeah.
Make
Wenn wir alle mal 10 Minuten zurückgehen, das ist okay.
What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! When? Now! When? Now! Woo! The oceans are rising and so are we. 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 Hello everyone, it's so cool to see you all here today. Do you have anything you want to say to all the people here?
Hey, don't touch me, ja. Ja.
Davos ist eine schöne Stadt, da lohnt es sich zu leben. Doch jedes ist weg und da sind wir dagegen.
Und wir verstehen das alle nicht, Alter. Warum bin ich im Vordersicht?
Fossil fuels have got to go, hey hey! Ho ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey hey! Ho ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey hey! Ho ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey hey! Ho ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey hey! Ho ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey hey! Ho ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey hey! Ho ho! Fossil fuels have got to go! Hey hey!
Oh, der Reiger. Bitte.
Wir sind heute hier aus Davos.
Guys, sorry, but we have speeches over here. Can we, sorry, but you have to kind of move back for everyone.
Guys, please move back again. Please, we need some distance. Please,
I'm trying, but...
Please, we need roughly 3-4 meters of distance. Please.
Alle noch mal ganz weit, ganz Leute, noch weiter, das ist sorry.
Please, gently step back.
Yeah, but sorry, but thank you, but it's
Okay, so Lisa, whoever's speaking gets the mic. So we'll use the mic for speaking so everybody gets a good sound.
come on, let's get a bit closer, everyone, to each other. So nicer with everyone. Yes, so why do we do this? No? You guys start, let me
Wir sind heute hier versammelt. Wir sind aus Davos, aber nicht nur aus Davos, sondern aus der ganzen Welt. Weil wir wollen, dass auch unsere Stimmen gehört werden. Stimmen, die sonst nicht gehört werden, wie hier am Beth. Und wir haben etwas zu sagen. Und zwar, wir schauen nicht weiter zu und wir akzeptieren nicht, wie ihr weiterhin unsere Welt zerstört. We're here today because we want the people who are taking part at the WEF to know that we will not longer accept what they do, how they exploit our world and the people living here. So we're not longer looking away.
Should we talk about the letter? Yeah. You want to talk about the letter? Yeah. Can you hold it? Yeah. I can hold it. Okay. Okay, whatever. Hello everyone, again. So this is another WEF where world leaders meet to discuss the status quo. And what we see this year at the WEF is definitely that they have learned their vocabulary. It's one step we can actually see. They have learned the language. They know when to say climate. They know what has to be green nowadays. They speak of transitions, yet when we look at the numbers, the fossil fuel boom is happening everywhere. The destruction is happening everywhere. When we look at the business plans of the fossil fuel industry worldwide, most of them are planning to expand and governments are allowing them to do so. And so one clear message today, of course, is if we let fossil fuel industries and their investors get to decide when the fossil fuel era will come to an end, there will not be an end of the fossil fuel era. Those lines will have to be drawn by the people who say enough is enough when it comes to destructions. This line is being drawn by the people right now who defend livelihoods against the fossil fuel interests, against the lobbyists, against their funders. And here at the WEF this year in 2023 in Davos, again, some of the dirtiest industries and their funders are meeting. And they don't want to hear this, but their time has come. And the future doesn't belong to the fossil fuel interests and those who are destructing as much as they can. And because this cannot be said clearly enough, we've written an cease and desist notice to the fossil fuel CEOs meeting here in Davos this year. Our notice has been signed over 850,000 times by now, and we're clearly calling for an end of fossil fuel expansion. We're calling for an end of fossil fuel project. We're calling for an end of funding of fossil fuels. And that is not a radical activist's opinion. That is actually what the International Energy Agency says too. There cannot be any new fossil fuel project happening anywhere around the world. So we're calling for CEOs of the fossil fuels and their investors and funders this year to end the expansion. It's because we know that just talking to them and expecting them to act won't bring the change that we need, as we turn clearly to the people to join us everywhere to defend and fight for climate justice, to defend lives and livelihoods against the fossil fuel destructions. And we are seeing people everywhere, really around the world, rising as we speak. Yeah. I'm going to read the letter, the notice to cease and desist to fossil fuel CEOs. This cease and desist notice is to demand that you immediately stop opening any new oil, gas, or coal extraction sites. And stop blocking the clean energy transition we also urgently need. No? No. It's right? Hello? Yeah. We know that big oil knew for decades that fossil fuels cause catastrophic climate change. We knew that big oil misled the public about basic climate science and risks. We know that big oil deceived politicians with disinformation, sowing doubt, and causing delay. You must end these activities as they are in direct violation of our human right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment, your duties of care, as well as the rights of indigenous people. If you fail to act immediately, be advised that citizens around the world will consider taking any and all legal action to hold you accountable, and we will keep protesting in the streets in huge numbers. This has been signed by Vanessa from Uganda, by Greta from Sweden, by myself, Helena from Ecuador, and Luisa from Germany, and 850,000 others around the world. And we're expecting to reach the million soon. Found that button. So the one nice thing about being here is not just as an activist, but as a scientist, is that the science is abundantly clear. The climate crisis, although discussed in meetings here, is still discussed as something avoidable and something of the future. But the fact is, the climate crisis is here and it is now. The disasters we are seeing around the world are direct consequences of our inaction. And the discussions that we're having at the tables here behind closed doors and boardrooms, where they're talking about the economy, they're talking about industry, they're talking about it as if we live in a world in which those are controllable without directly addressing the climate crisis in this area. If we do not address the climate crisis, it doesn't matter what we do with agriculture, it doesn't matter what we do with the global economy, it doesn't matter how many times we meet here, we're not going to be able to get anything accomplished.
Can we just have your name, please?
Susanna Hancock. From Arctic.
Yeah, wonderful.
Are you taking pictures now? No, I'm filming. Okay, you are, yeah.
Good morning. I'm called Aisha Siddiqa. I was born and raised in a tribal community in northern Pakistan, and currently I am studying in the United States. This is my first Davos, and one thing I don't think we realize and feel and comprehend in places of such wealth and power and greed is that planet Earth around us is in immense, immense pain. And the delusion of this event is so absolutely ridiculous. It's horrendous. You have people walking around in their suits talking about how they're going to put investments here and there, and they're all artificial. The only real and tangible, actually economic value that we have is our planet. And we are so eager, and we're working so hard to destroy it. The endless expansion models that a lot of these companies are working on are farces. They are operating on delusion. I had a train of thought now. 1 second. My country last year faced one of the most horrific floods in the past century. Among the people affected, tribal communities, rural communities, women and children were the most impacted. The climate crisis, believe it or not, is not a crisis that exists in of itself. It uses all the already pre-existing inequalities and exacerbates them. So, what was flooding then resulted in a healthcare crisis, then resulted in a domestic and women's rights crisis, and now it's a hunger crisis. In my country, the average person cannot afford tomatoes. They cannot afford potatoes. They cannot afford grain. And in such a distant reality, you have people men in suits determining the reality of others that they don't even consider human but ascribe numbers to. I don't know what it'll take for us to change the course of history, but it certainly will not happen here, because it hasn't happened here. We are on the outskirts calling for change, because inside, among all of the panels and conferences and whatnot, power is talking to each other and money is talking to each other. There will come a time in the near future, as the science is predicting, that no amount of dollars will be able to fix what is lost and what is broken. We are headed towards extreme catastrophe that is not just material, it is cultural, it is people, it is languages being lost, it is entire histories being lost. That is what is at stake. Humankind is a miracle of a species. We are stories and words and pictures and all the little things we leave behind. That is at stake. And the continuing expansion and investment in artificial economic models is a pathway straight to hell. Thank you.
But it's not also, just adding to that, it's not just people. Where I do work and partially grew up is a part of the Arctic, where it is warming 7 times faster than the rest of the world. I'm seeing places that, you know, when I was 5 were frozen. When I was back this year, our liquid water. And the water is not just clean, it's got plastics in it. Our plastics from continents and tens and thousands of kilometers away. We're finding birds that died because they consume the plastics that we have, that we've produced in Asia, we produce in North America, we produce around the world. Here in Davos, all of our clothes that we're washing, that gets into the water, and it's killing the ecosystems, and it's killing people, the cultures, and the fish. We're finding fish that the plastics, you see, fish that people are eating and relying upon, and it's toxic. People have a choice between eating food that they can afford, that is toxic to them and killing them, or food that they cannot afford.
How much of the Arctic has disappeared?
As somebody who, again, focused on the Arctic, we've already lost more than half of the Arctic sea ice, and at the rate at which we're losing sea ice, we're looking at a deficit, a debt of 70 trillion US dollars at just the current rate of our growth. Not talking about the growth that this place in Davos here is discussing. Not talking about adding new coal mines, new oil, new gas. If we're talking about that, we're talking about financial things that we cannot even fathom here.
I just want to comment that it's so exhausting to come to these events. And I don't know if this is clear to everybody, but we're really not doing this for fun. It's really desesperating to be here. It's really desesperating to have to come all the way from many, many very, far away parts of the world. It's not comfortable. It's not fun. And when we say that we want climate action now, we're not just doing it to be recorded on a camera. We're doing it because it's our future, and it's quite desesperating to not feel that we will be secure. Like, maybe here in Davos you will, maybe the people that come here will be secure, but not the people where we live. So I don't know how many times we have to say it. Please act now, and we won't stop pressuring it. In every event, we will be exhausted. We will come from wherever we are from. We will sleep in the cold, but we will be here screaming and shouting for people to act. I'm Amalia Garces from Brazil.
Can you repeat that?
Amalia Garces from Brazil.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Cause the people got the power.
Because the people got the power.
Tell me, can you feel it?
Tell me, can you feel it?
Getting stronger by the hour.
Getting stronger by the hour.
Power!
Power!
People!
People!
Power!
Power!
Woo! What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
When?
Now!
When?
Now!
Woo! The oceans are rising and so are we. The oceans are rising and so are we. The oceans are rising and so are we. The oceans are rising and so are we.
Vanessa, do you want to say something? Yes? Vanessa wants to Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Nakate. I am a climate justice activist from Uganda with Fridays for Future and Rise Up movement. This is my third time coming to this place, a place that I've come to understand that it is so disconnected from what is happening on the front lines of the climate crisis. Our leaders are seriously missing our Kairos moment to do something about the climate crisis. Our leaders are missing the Kairos moment to do something about the climate crisis. And we need our leaders to be able to feel what the earth feels, to be able to feel after the communities that are on the front lines. Because the fight for climate justice is a fight for compassion. It's a fight for helping those that are suffering some of the worst impacts of the crisis. When we come here and hear discussions about the energy crisis and how we can keep lights on in Europe, I wonder, no one ever talks about how to keep lights on across the African continent, where over 600 million people don't have access to basic electricity. For a moment, we somehow had the world talking about the drought in the Horn of Africa, but now we've moved on from that, and yet this drought continues to impact the lives of over 30 million people across the Horn of Africa. Many children suffering from severe acute malnutrition, many families trying to keep their children alive for the next, next month, for the next week, for the next hour. The climate crisis is beyond the statistics. It's beyond data points. It is about the people. And that is what we are missing in these conversations. That is what our leaders are missing. That is what these conferences are missing. And we all have a part to play to ensure that we have climate justice. From the media itself, you have a huge responsibility to talk about the experiences of those on the front lines of the climate crisis. But this comes from a place of compassion. This comes from a place of understanding. We need to protect the people that are suffering right now. people that have been suffering for decades, people that are on the front lines of the climate crisis. So we ask our leaders to listen to the science, to listen to those that are being impacted the most, and stop all new investments in fossil fuels, and that is coal, oil, and gas. The IEA has made it very clear we cannot have any new fossil fuel investment if we are to limit global temperatures below 1.5 degrees Celsius. So that is our message today. Cease and desist and fight for the people that are on the front lines of this crisis. Thank you.
Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Let's keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Let's keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Let's keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Let's keep it in the ground.
Keep it in the ground. Let's keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Let's keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Let's keep it in the ground.
No more coal. No more oil. Keep the carbon in the soil.
No more coal. No more oil. Keep the carbon in the soil. No more coal. No more oil. Keep the carbon in the soil.
What do we want? Climate justice. When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Climate justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
When?
Now.
When?
Now.
When?
Now.
I think we're wrapping up soon. Yeah. So thank you. What is exciting?
Thank you all. Hello? Thank you all for being here today. It was great. I hope you have a safe trip home wherever you come from.
Thank you.
Hello, Vanessa. Excuse us. It's just that the sound.
Well, I'm just trying to get some warmth.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay. She's
Get some water. Okay, do you want to come along to someone coming down?
Yeah.
Right now, in a human moment, we are choosing the pathway that humanity will go, and that is either a pathway to complete destruction, or it is a pathway to some kind of safety for people, security, freedoms, and healthy living conditions. When we look at the business plans of the fossil fuel industries worldwide, the vast majority of them plans to expand their business. Yet the International Energy Agency, the IPCC, the science is very clear. There cannot be any fossil fuel expansion happening anywhere. So